Millions of people are doing something Microsoft never thought possible. They're walking away from Windows.
Windows isn't failing by accident, it's failing because someone decided you don't matter anymore. That sounds dramatic. Until you see what people are doing right now. People are uninstalling Windows 11. Companies are rolling back 10 years. Users are choosing unsupported software over Microsoft's future. And what people are doing next is something Microsoft never planned for and can't stop. In this video, I'll show you why Windows is dying, what mistakes are destroying it from the inside, and why this time Microsoft might not recover. Stay with me, because once you see the full pattern, there's no unseeing it. Microsoft says Windows is better than ever, smarter, faster, AI-powered, but the numbers tell a very different story. And the scary part isn't angry tweets. It's not online complaints. It's that people are leaving. Not slowly, not quietly. They're leaving on purpose. This isn't about preferences or updates. This decides whether your computer feels faster or slower next year. But to understand why this is happening, we need to start with what Microsoft promised and what users actually got, because that's where everything broke. Microsoft told everyone the same story. Windows 11 is more powerful, more productive, built for the future. Simple promise, this is the best Windows ever, and most people believed it, because nobody upgrades an operating system expecting it to get worse. But the first real problem with Windows 11 wasn't AI. It wasn't Copilot. It wasn't anything advanced. It was something much more basic. In March 2025, Microsoft released a normal Windows update, the kind people install without thinking, and after installing it, basic system functions stopped working. Not rare features, not edge cases. Basic things computers need every day. Microsoft had to roll the update back. That might not sound dramatic, but it mattered a lot, because operating system updates follow one unwritten rule. They're supposed to be boring. They should fix things quietly and stay out of your way. When users start noticing updates, trust is already breaking. And this update didn't just fail, it confirmed a fear people already had. That Windows 11 wasn't just unfinished, it was careless. Microsoft never clearly explained how this passed testing or why it wouldn't happen again. And when users stopped trusting updates, they stopped trusting the operating system itself. Keep that in mind, because right after this moment, something Microsoft never expected started happening. Windows 11 didn't just stop growing. People started going backwards. And in the next chapter, you'll see the numbers that prove it, and why millions of users chose risk over staying on Windows 11. After that update rollback, something strange happened. Windows 11 didn't just slow down, it started losing users. In March 2025, Windows 11 adoption dropped to 28%. Just 4 months earlier, it was at 35%. Microsoft expected 55% by that point. That's not a small miss, that's a massive failure. But the most important number isn't 28%, it's what happened next. Windows 10 usage went up. Think about how crazy that is. Windows 10 officially lost support. It's older, it's less secure, and yet, people chose it anyway. They didn't just refuse to upgrade, they actively went backwards. That almost never happens with operating systems. People will tolerate bugs, they'll tolerate slow adoption. But when users choose risk over the newest version, it means something deeper is broken. And this wasn't one group of users, it was happening everywhere. Home users, gamers, professionals, companies. The downgrade wave didn't start with competitors, it started inside Microsoft's own ecosystem. And that's the real danger. Because once users break the habit of always update, they stop following Microsoft's direction. Keep that idea in mind, because next, this quiet downgrade trend turns into something much bigger. Users don't just go backwards, they start looking sideways, and that's where the real exodus begins. At this point, it's easy to think this is just people resisting change, that users are stubborn, that they don't like new things. But that explanation doesn't work here, because users weren't just refusing Windows 11, they were actively leaving, and not to one single alternative. Linux desktop usage doubled in just 1 year. Mac enterprise sales jumped over 60%. Chromebook business shipments more than doubled. Those are not normal numbers. That's not some users experimenting. That's movement. When people move this fast, it means they've already made a decision in their heads. And the decision was simple. Windows is no longer worth the trouble. What makes this more dangerous for Microsoft is that these users didn't coordinate. There was no campaign, no single event. Millions of people reached the same conclusion on their own. That tells us something important. This wasn't about one bad update or one missing feature. It was about trust breaking at scale. And once trust breaks, users stop waiting for fixes. They start looking for exits. Keep that in mind. Because once users start leaving in multiple directions at the same time, the problem is no longer Windows 11. The problem becomes Windows itself. And that's when Microsoft realized this was no longer a normal upgrade cycle. When platforms start losing users, companies usually deny it. They say it's temporary, they say it's normal, they say users will come back. But this time, Microsoft did something unusual. They pulled in Bill Gates, and that alone tells you how serious this was. Bill Gates hasn't run Microsoft in decades. He doesn't handle daily decisions. He doesn't manage Windows. So when his name shows up in internal emergency meetings, it means one thing. This wasn't a PR problem. It was a survival problem. According to internal leaks, the message was blunt. Microsoft had a very short window to stop permanent damage to Windows, not slow damage, not theoretical damage, permanent damage. Because once users break the habit of trusting Windows, they don't come back easily. And this wasn't about fixing one bug or rolling back one update. It was about something much bigger. The fear wasn't that Windows 11 was unpopular. The fear was that users were learning they didn't need Windows anymore. Keep that thought, because what happens next proves that this fear wasn't exaggerated at all. It was already becoming reality. Once people realized they could leave Windows 11, something flipped. They stopped waiting for Microsoft. Instead of asking, will this get better? They started asking, how do I get out? And that question spread fast. In early 2025, forums exploded with the same posts. How do I downgrade from Windows 11? Not how to fix it, not how to optimize it, how to remove it. Reddit filled with hundreds of posts every single day. YouTube tutorials showing step-by-step downgrades started getting millions of views. This wasn't curiosity, it was action. People weren't just talking about leaving. They were actually doing it. And what made this even more dangerous for Microsoft is that it didn't come from one group. It wasn't just tech experts, or gamers, or IT admins. It was normal users. People who had never reinstalled an operating system before were learning how just to escape Windows 11. That's a huge signal, because when regular users take control like this, it means trust is already gone. And once users realize they don't need permission to leave, they stop seeing Windows as the default. Keep that in mind. Because next, this user revolt moves out of homes and straight into companies, and that's where the real damage begins. One of the clearest examples didn't come from gamers or tech enthusiasts. It came from a law firm, a mid-sized firm in Chicago with just over 400 employees. Corporate law, litigation, compliance work, the kind of place where computers are used all day, every day. Their IT director, Thomas Brennan, had been there for over 8 years. He wasn't anti-Microsoft. The firm had used Windows for decades. In October 2024, they upgraded 180 workstations to Windows 11. Same hardware, same software stack, Microsoft Office, document management systems, legal research tools, time tracking. At first, the problem seemed small. Apps opened slower. Some internal tools crashed randomly. The new taskbar confused employees who worked with multiple documents at once. Then the complaints became daily. The centered taskbar broke established workflows. Forced Microsoft account integration caused domain login issues. File Explorer started showing ads for OneDrive. Copilot prompts interrupted lawyers while drafting contracts. None of these things were catastrophic on their own, but together, they added friction to every single workday. So Thomas did what IT directors do. He measured it. After 3 months, productivity metrics were down 14% across the upgraded machines. Same people, same work, same deadlines, just a different operating system. That number changed everything. He spent 2 weeks planning a rollback, testing compatibility, scheduling downtime. Then they downgraded all 180 computers back to Windows 10. It cost them 2 full workdays per employee. Applications had to be reinstalled. Settings had to be reconfigured. Expensive, painful, but within 1 week, the complaints stopped. Performance stabilized, productivity returned. Thomas later said he would never deploy Windows 11 again, even if Microsoft extended support or offered incentives. And that's the key detail. Companies don't downgrade operating systems unless something is deeply wrong, because next, you'll see this wasn't just one law firm, it was an industry-wide regret. At this point, it would be easy to say, okay, that was one company. One bad rollout, one unlucky IT director, but that explanation doesn't survive the data. A large industry survey asked IT professionals a simple question. If you deployed Windows 11, would you consider going back to Windows 10? The answer shocked a lot of people. 34% said yes. That's 1 out of every 3 IT departments. Think about what that means. Downgrading an operating system is expensive. It takes time. It breaks workflows. It costs money. IT teams avoid it unless things are truly bad. So when 1 out of 3 professionals even consider going backwards, this isn't a mistake. It's regret. And this regret showed up everywhere. Different industries, different company sizes, different countries, yet the complaints sounded the same. Slower performance, too many interruptions, features removed, harder to work, different users, same conclusion. Windows 11 wasn't helping them work better. It was getting in the way, and when professionals, people whose job depends on stable systems, start questioning the upgrade, that's when a product's reputation quietly collapses. Because now the story changes. It's no longer about opinion. It's no longer about preference. It's about performance. And in the next chapter, you'll see why Windows 11 failed the one test an operating system can never afford to fail. And this is where Windows 11 breaks the unspoken rule. Newer is supposed to be faster. Independent benchmarks all agree Windows 11 is slower. Games up to 8% fewer frames, apps 15 to 20% slower launches. File operations, slower overall responsiveness, worse. Same hardware, same tasks, worse results. And here's a perfect example. One of the first groups to notice something was wrong with Windows 11 were professional gamers. That matters because pro gamers care about only one thing: performance. After switching to Windows 11, many reported the same problem: lower frame rates, more stuttering, less consistency. Not on old PCs, on high-end machines. Same hardware, same settings. Only the operating system changed. Independent benchmarks confirmed it. Windows 11 performed worse than Windows 10 in competitive games. For casual players, that's annoying. For professionals, it's unacceptable. So some rolled back. Others started testing alternatives. And that's the signal. When the most performance-sensitive users start leaving first, it usually means the problem is real. And next, you'll see gaming wasn't the exception. A data scientist at Stanford trains machine learning models. Windows 10, 6 hours. Windows 11, almost 7. Now imagine waiting 45 extra minutes every single day. That time compounds. Her entire lab migrated to Linux. Microsoft lost a research lab because Windows 11 is slower, but performance isn't the only issue. Microsoft removed things that worked for decades. Start menu, less control, less organization. Taskbar, can't move it, can't ungroup windows, limited customization, right-click menu. Extra clicks, slower workflows, small friction. Every day. And then they crossed a respect line. You open File Explorer, you see ads on software you paid for. That's not a mistake, it's a decision. Copilot interrupts, suggests, monitors. A lawyer is writing a contract. Copilot pops up. Do you want help? He didn't ask. He didn't need it. That interruption cost more than time. It breaks focus. He disables Copilot. It comes back. So he buys a MacBook. He didn't want a new computer. He wanted peace. And now we reach the real reason. Windows 11 wasn't built for users. It was built to push hardware upgrades, force Microsoft accounts, show ads, collect data, justify AI investments. Windows stopped serving users and started serving metrics. And when software works against users, users leave. That's what's happening now. Windows once held over 70% market share. It could fall below 50%. Not because of competition, because of arrogance. In the next video, I'll show you which operating system developers are quietly preparing for and why that matters more than market share. Subscribe, because this shift has already started, and when it becomes obvious, it will be too late for Microsoft.